Hey y'all, it's me, Janae Janae, and welcome back to Dragon's Den. And this is my final video of my 10 video spree. I'm so proud of myself for getting this shit done. And this one is going to be called Having Compassion for Yourself. So basically, I've spoken about not being in the most favorable circumstances at different periods in my life. And sometimes when you are going through something, you might make decisions from a space of desperation, or you'll make a decision that you wouldn't make when you're in a better state of mind, right? And I, for the most part, I can look back on my life and say there were things that I might have slightly been like, maybe I wouldn't have gotten here if the circumstances hadn't led me in that direction. However, I would like to say I don't necessarily regret anything that I've experienced or done in my life, because that version of me at that age going through that circumstance felt like that was what I needed to do to survive or make it through. And now that I'm no longer in a position of really surviving, and I got to that position, not even just financially or just like to look around and be like, y'all are loud, y'all are loud. Okay. Not even just to look at. Yo, please. They so chatty. Okay, not even to look at a situation and be like, oh, the money has changed or the environment has changed. More like my mindset. And I remember it was years ago. I think I was like 20. And I forgot what was going on. Maybe it was just like the circumstances and just being around certain people. And I was just like, wow, these people are really in a bad mentality. It's not even just about the money that we make or just the whatever. I was like, these people are fucked up. And I was like, I don't want to be like these people. Like, I looked around me and I was like, I want to be different from these people. I don't want to think like this, because it's like, no matter how much they were getting, there was never any satisfaction with it. And I don't mean like striving to make more money. I just mean like, you can have money and be rich and mentally be poor. So it was a long time ago that I decided, and I think this was 2020 for real. It was a long time ago that I decided I want to escape survival mode. And I realized that the first step to escaping survival mode was in my mind. So once I realized that, I started kind of making a few videos on Instagram, kind of talking about stuff. I think I archived them or deleted them. But I started making videos on Instagram. I started studying more self-help shit. And I was just like, I want to figure out how to be better. You know, I want to be able to escape this survival mode. And how can I do that? I started studying. And once I started to look into stuff more, started to consume more positive content, started to consume more content about getting out of survival mode mentally, then it was just a matter of building myself up financially and building myself up resource-wise and giving myself avenues to have a different outcome for my life, you know? So it starts in the mind first. And I've always been super spiritual since I was younger. No matter what I was going through or what I was experiencing, I've always kind of been spiritual and felt like, okay, God got me. I'm gonna figure it out. Like, I'm gonna pray about it. My mom prayed a lot. Like, my dad is spiritual too. So that's always been something on my spirit, on my heart. But for my mind, I feel like no matter what somebody has, when you go through certain experiences, it can mess with your mind. And the first line of defense is your mind. Like, if somebody can break your mind, they can break you. Like, I mean, somebody can break your heart, but they might not break your mind. But then again, I've been so heartbroken before that I felt like it broke my mind. And that was just because so many things stacked up. So if you have control over your mind and your mind is strong, you will not be taken advantage of in certain instances. I don't care kind of how naive you are. It will always be something that'll be like, nah, this ain't right. I don't know if y'all have watched the movie Divergent, but it was kind of like when she was in the water tank and she was like panicking about drowning, and then next thing you know, she was just like, this isn't real. And I feel like that's how a lot of situations generally happen in life. Like, you have to escape the matrix first in your mind. You might be going through something that's hectic and scary and crazy, but you'll be like, this isn't real. You know, like, I don't know how to explain it. And yes, situations can be very hectic and right in front of you what's happening, but it's just something in your mind that needs to be like, this ain't real. Like, I need to escape this reality so that I could get to the reality that I want to be in. So I have to basically bend the matrix to my will. So because certain experiences I've been in were kind of fucking with my head, I said, I need to escape survival mode mentally first. And I started to make money. I started to research finance, and I started to research how to do better with this, because I feel like even as Black people as a total, it's purposefully been put this way for us to be illiterate in terms of not only education, but in finance. And that's why it's always been a very big thing for me to try to read and figure out what's going on and be curious. Because if education is kept away from you for so long, you have to ask yourself why people would want so badly for you to be uneducated. Because that's where your power is, in your education. So I started to educate myself more on finance, on spirituality, on positivity, on healing, and different stuff like that. And once I was able to escape that survival mode mentally, I was able to see the world from a bigger perspective, and not necessarily say that what I was going through wasn't real, but say, this is not the world. You know, like, you have to see the world. You have to take a step back and view your life from like an omnipresent, almost narrator point of view, and been like, take your emotions out of it and say logically, like, what can I do about this situation to change my life? So once I started to progress like that, I started to have a little bit more empathy for myself and the decisions that I had made and what I had been through, you know, like what per se people might have put me through, what I forgave. And it's the truth. Like, I had to forgive my parents for certain circumstances we might have experienced, even if it wasn't their doing or they weren't directly the cause of the situation. Sometimes people could go through their lives having malice towards their parents because of what they might have experienced as a child. Whole time, it might not have been your parents' fault. And sometimes if it is your parents' fault, you have to forgive for you and not for them. Because you walking around with this heavy weight and somebody might just be living their life. And that just is what the fuck it is. I remember a Tyler Perry movie. I forgot which one it was exactly, but Madea was like in jail. And there was a girl, and she was like, I'm just so angry at my dad. I'm so angry. And Madea was like, baby, your daddy living his life. Get over it. And I remember that stuck with me as a kid, because I was just like, and you know, I had my own issues with my peoples at different points in time, whatever. But I had to forgive for me. And sometimes you have to forgive people without the apology. And that's how I unburdened myself from a lot of stuff, because I was like, fuck it. I forgive them for who they are, and I forgive them without the apology. I'm not waiting around for the apology. I'm going to get up and I'm going to keep living my life. And I'm not going to let anger burden me from getting to where I need to go. So once you free yourself from those burdens, once you forgive yourself for being a victim, for going through certain situations, for making certain decisions, you can start to progress in life. And if you're going through your life choosing to be a victim, because it's gonna sound fucked up. I'm sorry, whatever. But at some point in time, you gotta get over your shit. I've been through a lot of traumatic shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. Every possible thing that you can imagine or think of that I might have been through without me saying, I've probably experienced it. And truth be told, some shit is not y'all business for me to tell. And it's just too dark for me to talk about that I went through. But everything you could possibly think of that I could have experienced, I've experienced it. So at the end of the day, I had to make up in my mind that I wasn't going to be a victim. And once you decide in your mind and in your spirit, I am not a victim, I am a victor. This shit ain't gonna break me. You gotta come a little harder than that. The devil starts to unclench you. And if the devil is too serious, then you could say like the circumstance, the wickedness of the world, whatever the fuck it is, it lets you the fuck go. It might still come at you. Shit gonna happen. Life gonna be hard. You're gonna experience shit. You never stop experiencing shit because you are human and you cannot control the circumstances of your life, let alone how others behave towards you. But once you decide, I am not a victim, you go back to almost that experience like in the Divergent movie. You be like, this ain't real. Fuck this. No bullshit. You start progressing in life because you be like, ciao. Anyway, ciao. I got somewhere to be. Bye. I'm not dealing with this bullshit. I got somewhere to be. As in, I know what I want future me to be like. And my mom used to tell me when I was a kid for the longest, she would say, dress for where you want to go, not for where you're at. So I could be in this shit pile right now and be like, this is not the end for me. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. I don't give a fuck how people view me. I don't give a fuck people looking down on me if they think they're better than me. This is not where I'm ending. So I hope you get your shits and giggles right now because I'm going to be the one laughing at the end. Motherfucker. And I really intend to put a different finger up. Hello. So at the end of the day, I have had to forgive myself and unburden myself from the pain that I experienced, whether it was by my own decisions, whether it was by the hands of others. I've had to unburden myself. And it was something that Alex Hormozy said in a video the other day that I'm going to carry with me. He said, it will always be, I forgot the exact verbiage, but it will always be a blessing that every day you get to wake up as you and they have to wake up as them. Hello. Clock it. So every day that I got to wake up as me and you got to wake up as you, baby, I'm winning. And guess what? Any day above ground is a blessing. So some people genuinely are so miserable, I would never switch lives with them ever. Ever. You hear me? So ain't now hoe I'm out here really hating on because you don't know what the fuck somebody doing to get, let alone to keep what they have. That looks like a blessing, but is really a curse. So I know the troubles and the turmoil and what I've had to come through and overcome, whether it was mentally or literally like physically, like physical ailments, or like going through stuff that it felt like it was like a spiritual warfare. And people will be envious of my light or my ability to overcome circumstances or my confidence, not knowing the half of what I've been through. I might have told a little bit, but y'all don't know all that I've been through, which makes me be able to be like, nah, bitch, you gotta come harder than that. You ain't getting me down with that one. You gotta come harder than that. What? Ain't that type shit. Where I could take certain hits because I've been through so much and it has strengthened me. I worked for this confidence. I worked for this light. And I'll be damned if somebody think they're going to take it from me. And there is a covering on me that I could truly say I've always had, but it gets strengthened the more that you go through and the more that you overcome and the more that you stay positive and the more that you don't lean to dark practices and dark shit to try to get the money, try to take the shortcut. You get what I'm saying? Like, you got to really take your hits, take your licks, and strengthen yourself. Build up your, what you call it? I forgot what, I want to say repertoire. But you got to like, you got to, get some skin in the game type shit. Like, people take shortcuts out of laziness, out of desperation, out of wanting so badly to be validated by others, seeing, oh, they made it. But if you can stand 10 on what you got going on where you've come from and where you intend to be one day, you will not rush the process. The process is what makes you strong enough to hold on to that blessing at the end and not lose it or it not fall apart because you was taking shortcuts, because you was doing fucked up shit, because you was crossing people out. You feel me? So at the end of the day, I'm very blessed for all of the joys and all of the heartaches that I have experienced. And it has made me who I am today. And I don't really have regrets for my life, because whatever decisions I made them from a standpoint of, will I be able to look myself in the mirror and stand on this decision later? And I could say that that's where I've made my decisions from. So because of that, and even if there was something where I'm just like, oh, damn, I wish I didn't do it, I forgive myself. I've released myself from that vindication or whatever. So have some compassion for yourself, honestly. Because who you were back then is not who you are today, is not who you're going to be in a few years. Have some compassion for yourself. Release it. Forgive yourself. Forgive them. Let go of whatever burden is on your heart. And love who you are today and who you are supposed to become. And that's when you will start getting your confidence. That's when you will start becoming who you're supposed to be. Peace and love, y'all. Thank you for being a part of the Dragon's Den, and I will see you next video.